morning, Cosmic Horror lovers of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, resident ooky spooky girly, and welcome back to another installment of chatting about all things cosmic horror. So, y'all really loved part 1, eh? Thank you so much. So today, we're gonna do it, but we're gonna do it again. So, I hope you're ready, because I'm ready and I've did some research. So welcome back to the top 5 cosmic horror monsters even demons fear, part 2. Number 5, Hastur. So Hastur the Unspeakable is a fictional deity in the Cthulhu mythos. Although the being is associated with H.P. Lovecraft, it is only mentioned in one of his stories, The Whisper in Darkness. It was originally the creation of Ambrose Bierce, whose short story Haida the Shepherd describes Hastur as a god of shepherds. Now Hastur is the name of a city in the Robert W. Chambers short stories The Yellow Sign and The Repair of Reputations, which appeared in his short story collection The King in Yellow. Now this creature has a great number of nicknames. Heck, I'd be here for a solid couple of minutes if I tried listing them all off, but don't worry, I will do that in a video soon. But the most important is that he's known, indeed, as the King in Yellow, as well as Hastur. In The Shepherd's Tale, which appeared in the collection Can Such Things Be, Hastur is more benevolent than he would later appear in Auguste Deleuthe's mythos stories. Another story in the same collection, which is titled An Inhabitant of Carcosa, referred to the place Carcosa and a person Hali, names which later authors were to associate with Hastur. In Chambers' The King in Yellow, a collection, some of which are, horror stories, Hastur is the name of a potentially supernatural character in the Demoiselle d'Is, a place, in the Repair of Reputations, and mentioned without explanation in the Yellow Sign. Now, the latter two stories also mention Carcosa, Hali, Aldebaran, and the Hyades, along with a Yellow Sign in a play called The King in Yellow. I know, that's a lot. H.P. Lovecraft read Chambers' book in early 1927 and was so enchanted by it that he added elements of it to his own creation. So, what does this terrifying creature look like? I'm so glad you asked. Hastur is defined as a great old one, spawn of Yog-Sothoth and the half-brother of Cthulhu, and possibly the Magnum Inundadium. I tried. In this incarnation, Hastur has several avatars. The Feaster from Afar, which is a black, shriveled, flying monstrosity with tentacles tipped with razor-sharp talons that can pierce a victim's skull and siphon out the brain, and obviously the King in Yellow. Now, Hastur is amorphous, but he is said to appear as a vast, vaguely octopoid being, similar to his half-niece Cthulhu. So, make of that what you will. Number 4, the Other Mother. Alrighty folks, just like in the first part of this series, I'm not sticking to exclusively Lovecraft creations, or heck, even things that are canon in the Cthulhu mythos. Granted, this might be one of my more controversial takes yet, so hold your pitchforks until the end and allow me to explain. So, you've all seen Coraline, yes? If you haven't, or just want a refresher, a young lady and her parents move into a building titled the Pink Palace, and it turns out that for as long as the building has been under its current ownership, young folks have not been allowed to live there. Somehow there's been a mistake somewhere, and Coraline is here to stay, for better or for worse. Since her stay-at-home parents, have to work and ignore her, she crosses paths with a black cat and Wyborn, or Wyby, the landlady's grandson, who leaves her with a ragdoll lookalike, like identical. And that little lookalike leads Coraline to a small door with a brick wall behind it. That night, a jumping mouse leads Coraline back to the door, now a portal leading to the other world, an alternate universe where her parents' button-eyed doppelgangers lavish her with food and attention. Yep, Other Mother and Other Father. So obviously the next night, Coraline goes back to the world where she feels loved, and the other Wyby has been rendered mute after Other Mother picked up on Coraline calling real Wyby annoying. When Coraline returns again to the other world, this time during the day, the cat tells her that he can traverse the two worlds, so there's only one cat, and he can talk. The Other Mother offers to let Coraline stay permanently if she has buttons sewn over her eyes, which, horrifies Coraline, because yikes. She desperately tries to fall asleep, and even after, waking up, she's still in the other world. And when she tries to escape back through the door to her world, the Other Mother half transforms into an arachnid-like form and imprisons her by throwing her into a mirror that leads to a dark room. So there, she meets 3 ghost young people, including the sister of the landlady, who tells Coraline how the Beldam, Other Mother, used the rag dolls to spy on them. So if you're miserable as a young person, here, have a doll. It's watching. After sewing buttons over these young people's eyes, Other Mother devoured their souls. Now Coraline can free them by retrieving the essences of their souls, trapped in the eyes of the ghosts. And after promising to help them, Other Wyby helps Coraline return home to the real world. But Other Mother has kidnapped her parents, forcing Coraline to return to the other world with a Ouija planchette. The cat suggests Coraline propose a game. If she can find her parents and the 3 eyes, Other Mother's gonna let them all go. But if not, Coraline will finally accept the offer and, Buttons it is. As Coraline finds each eye, part of the other world turns lifeless as the entire dimension gradually disintegrates. During the search, Coraline encounters the clothes that Other Wybie was wearing on a flagpole, implying that Other Mother ended him for helping her escape before. Now, Other Mother has now assumed what we believe to be her final form. One of the ghosties warns Coraline that we don't think this bad person's going to honor the bargain, and Coraline tricks her into opening the door to the real world by claiming that Coraline's parents are behind it. Coraline throws the cat at her and takes the snow globe with her, the snow globe that has imprisoned her parents, and the cat claws out Other Mother's eyes. And as a last resort, Other Mother creates a giant spider's web in the floor. Coraline nearly escapes through the door by severing Other Mother's head. The snow globe back home is broken and Coraline reunites with her parents. They have no recollection of the ordeal, but having finished their writing, they're now nice to Coraline. But that night, the freed ghosts warn Coraline that Other Mother's trying to get the key to the small door. When Coraline goes to the well to get rid of it, the severed hand attacks her, trying to pull her back through the small door in the house. Wybie comes to the rescue and destroys the hand with a large rock, so they can finally get rid of the key. Alrighty, now that we all have all the context about Other Mother, time to break down why I firmly believe she should be classified as a cosmic horror creature. So thematically, the primary attribute of the cosmic horror story is the idea that human beings are insignificant and inconsequential in the scape of cosmic reality. While for Other Mother, humans are simply playthings, one no different from the next. Manipulate, conquer, repeat. Sounds like my own mother. The fear of the other, the alien, and the unknown are central tenets that underscore the terror in a cosmic horror story. And the underlying fear of what one does not understand remains the pervasive note. There is often an alien nature to a character's ancestry and personal relationships, with questions of alien or supernatural parentage and sinister personal acquaintances. Well, gee, I think a creature that can shapeshift and world build to such an extent would fit. To conclude this gal, since we have so much to cover still, I firmly believe Other Mother to be an eldritch abomination, which is a common trope in a cosmic horror story. Always horrific in appearance, and occasionally beyond human description or comprehension, these monsters threaten the boundaries of reality. At best, their motives are inconceivable or in disregard of humanity, and at worst, they are a malevolent force actively seeking to subvert or corrupt human society. I rest my case. Number 3, King. You wouldn't think I was going to talk about cosmic horror creatures again without mentioning at least one Stephen King creature. Now did you? Tisk, tisk. In Stephen King's mythology, Gan is the greatest deity of them all, creating every universe, including the universe all of the books take place in. The universe where, Stephen King actually writes these stories, and the universe in which we read them. Gan, also known as God or the Other, emerged from the primal chaos of the Prim, which is the darkness behind everything, and manifested himself as the Dark Tower in Midworld. His wife is Bessa, who manifested herself as a rose. Now, Stephen King's inspiration for the world remains unknown, but he might have taken it from a Hebrew word, which means garden. This creature is an almighty being that is far stronger than it and the turtle. It's first mentioned by name in Song of Susanna, the 6th installment in the Dark Tower series. He's described as speaking through the voices of the Kankala, who men call angels, and as denying the Crimson King and denying Discordia itself. King himself is actually like a player in Gan's schemes to tell the story of the creature I can't name in the Dark Tower books. Within the fictional cosmology of Stephen King's universe, it is implied that Gan not only created the various universes where Stephen King novels take place, but also the real world where the real Stephen King writes his books and where we read them. Now, had Stephen King passed prior to completing these, then all of the infinite universes of the mythos would have ceased to exist at all. Number 2, Birdbox. Among global destruction from an unknown and unseen entity, single mother Mallory and her 2 young must set out on a dangerous journey that may cost them their lives to find the last safe haven on Earth in Birdbox. But the real danger, however, lies in the thing destroying the world, which takes the most important sense away from people: sight. If you look upon the creature, you're going to see your worst fear, your deepest desire, or your downfall. Once you've seen it, nothing can stop you from ending yourself in a manner of horrific ways that always ends up endangering people around you. Now, the audience and the characters never really find out what exactly this thing is, which is all the scarier. So, cosmic horror. The evidence is all there. The allusion to ancient beings or God, the drawings of the creatures, and the fact that lunatics become liberated by seeing the creatures is just pure Lovecraftian in nature. Also, the drawings from some of the characters totally look like Cthulhu. Try me. Number 1, Ghatanothoa. So this creature first appeared in the 1935 story Out of the Aeons, which was ghostwritten by H.P. Lovecraft for Hazel Held. Lovecraft presents the monster as a gigantic abomination whose appearance is so hideous that anyone who gazes upon it or its image is petrified into a living mummy. The creature is described as a hellish god or patron demon brought to Earth in prehistoric times by aliens from Yugoth. They built a colossal fortress atop the mountain Yadith-Go in Kana in the lost continent of Mu and sealed Ghatanothoa below it beneath a vast trapdoor. And for clarity's sake, I'm going to refer to this being as G from here on out so I don't mess up. When humans arose after the departure of the aliens, they too worshipped the monster out of fear of its frightful power, offering it sacrifices lest it emerge from its crypt and wreak havoc. Though G is said to be indescribable, it appears to combine aspects of an octopus and an elephant, and to be both scaly and wrinkled while remaining amorphous. Victims of G are permanently immobilized, their skin taking on the consistency of leather. Their internal organs are preserved indefinitely, with the brain remaining fully aware. Only the destruction of the subject's brain or the application of a magic scroll can free it from its hellish prison, though the unfortunate is likely to be incurably insane long before the welcomed release. G's cult was immensely powerful in Kana, though opposed by the priests of I can't say that name. After Mu sunk beneath the Pacific Ocean, traces of its worship can be found in Egypt, Chaldea, Persia, China, and the forgotten empires of Africa, and Mexico and Peru in the New World. And in modern times can still be found in the Far East and the Pacific Islands. Lovecraft attributes much of his invented history of G and its followers to the book Nameless Cults, originally created by Robert E. Howard. Now, other writers have contributed to the lore, such as Lynn Carter in The Thing in the Pit, who depicts the creature as a great old one and the firstborn of Cthulhu, spawned by Idya on the planet Ixoth. Colin Wilson links it to the Loiger in The Return of the Loiger. And that brings us to the end of today, and I'd actually like to end our time by reading out a couple of memorable comments I've seen lately. In part 1 of this video, user @Steve3er said, if you're into Lovecraft, I recommend some of his forebears as decent reading. One example, a book I'm currently reading, is The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. Lovecraft has actually referenced this work inside of his own works, by way of mentioning the city of Carcosa within his own world within the Cthulhu mythos. In fact, Robert himself borrowed the name from another famed author of the weird fiction genre, Ambrose Bierce, who wrote a short story about a mysterious city named Carcosa who was long ago destroyed and is only viewed in hindsight by a former inhabitant. Chambers used the name as the central city within his own work as the titular city that was the home of the Yellow King, and Lovecraft drew inspiration from him to delve further into the name, thereby incorporating Carcosa itself into the Cthulhu mythos. Well, not to spoil anything, but I should have a video out specifically on the King in Yellow and the mythos coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. Another comment from regular viewer @Grandma Rainey said, I have read Diana and Little Pete's Mineshaft Adventures and all the Lovecrafts and all of Stephen King's works. Yes, I'm quite warped. I did like Tim Curry's Pennywise best. I agree with you. Tim Curry was absolutely incredible. And yay, face love. Well, folks, that about sums it up. If you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more cosmic horror from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.